In this video, I'm just going to walk through some of the highlights of our syllabus. I'm not going to read the entire thing to you, but if you want to do that on your own, you can. I'm really just going to cover some of the key points of the syllabus. Before I jump into that, I just want to show you how to set up a folder for your bookmarks. So on the top toolbar here, you can right-click and hit Add Folder. I'm going to name that Geometry. You can name it whatever you want. If you don't want to organize these by class, you don't have to. If you want to just organize your BBCU links into one folder, that might be a good idea. Really, that depends on how you want to organize. I'm just going to call this one Geometry. It doesn't have anything in it right now, but I'm going to bookmark the Google site and put it into that folder, into the Geometry folder. And you can click on that, and you can see that the Google site is bookmarked there. So from our home page, I'm going to click on Course Info. You could also do it here. I'm going to click on this, and that will take me to this page, which will eventually take me to our syllabus. I'm going to bookmark that and also put that in the Geometry folder. So the first thing I want to point out is our Desmos graphing calculator. So this calculator is going to be extremely useful. Hopefully you used it a little bit last year. We also could be using a TI-84, but this has everything you need and it's free, so it might be easier just to do this. Plus, this is how I'm going to show you how to do everything. They have about the same capabilities, so if you want to buy your own calculator, you can, but this is also an option. I'm going to bookmark that and throw that into the Geometry folder as well. All right, so again, I'm really not going to read this to you, especially since we went over a lot of this stuff in our first class. One thing I do want to point out is that you must be an active participant to actually receive credit for attendance. It's just a basic expectation that you are really actively engaged in our class and not just clicking into the BBCU link. One more thing I want to highlight before just diving into this, our office hours, even though we went over this during our first class, I just want to highlight those again. We have math office hours on Monday from 10:30 to 11:20, during the second half of Unity time on Wednesday and Friday, and then after school, immediately after school, from 2:15 to 3 o'clock. The only thing I really want to highlight in here is the point about missing assignments. Missing assignments must be turned in within 2 weeks, otherwise they will remain as that 50% or that M. We went over a lot of this stuff in detail before, so if you want to review that, you can. But my next big topic is our grading. So we did talk about the rolling gradebook. I want to highlight the grading categories one more time. Assessments are going to count for 75%. Those are going to be mini quizzes throughout the year, and that comprises most of your grade. The independent practice is the remaining 25%. That's going to be group projects during class, mini graded assignments, maybe a warm-up, something that you can receive help on. You're allowed to retake the assessments where you don't receive help on any of those. Those are tests or quizzes. The independent practice you can receive help on, therefore you cannot retake those. The final grade will come from the cumulative grade, the rolling gradebook grade that I really described in our first class, plus a final exam that's going to count for 10%. So 90% of your final grade will come from all of the assignments that we do throughout the year, and the remaining 10% comes from that final. One more thing I want to highlight about grades, the retake policy. You are allowed to retake anything this year. There is no percentage cap. Last year we had 80% as the limit for what you could retake, so you weren't allowed to retake something if you got an 85%. Now you can. You can retake an 85% and get all the way up to 100. And we will only take the highest grade that you earn. So there is zero risk in retaking all of our assessments. But remember, you cannot retake the independent practice. You must do well on that the first time. So get help on those before you submit anything. The assessments you do have a second shot at, but you might only have 2 chances at it. So there's still risk in not doing well the first time. It's not like you can just blow off the first one and then assume that you can retake it. If you don't do well on either of those 2, I'm not going to continue to give you retakes. If I see that you're especially working hard for it and you're driving towards mastery and I see that you're working for it, I'm willing to work as hard as you are. So I would be willing to make a 3rd retake if you need it, but that is not going to be a standard thing. That is definitely going to be an exception to the rule. You should be taking advantage of that first retake as much as possible. I actually believe that is all I wanted to cover in here. Actually, aside from this MathSpace website, I think you used this a little bit last year during algebra. I would bookmark this one into the geometry site as well. We are going to be using this a lot. So you can see all of my geometry resources are located there. I don't have to go searching for them. Again, if you don't want to organize your things like this, that's fine. It's really up to you how you want to organize these, but I would keep those tracked somehow. I would keep those accessible in some way. Other than that, I think we covered everything that we needed to. I would read through this. There are more details in here that I have not covered here. And if you have any questions about it, please feel free to email me. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.